Good evening. Tonight, we unravel a story that's as glittering as it is shocking. A tale where fortunes, politics, and international relations collide in the most unexpected way. Let's talk about gold, the universal symbol of wealth, stability, and apparently, the spark for a global crisis. For centuries, gold has been the backbone of economies, a safe haven in turbulent times, and the ultimate prize for nations and investors alike. Right now, in autumn 2025, the US is locked in a standoff with Switzerland. What began as a diplomatic disagreement has escalated into a high-stakes confrontation, with both sides digging in their heels. Yes, Switzerland, the land of cheese, watches, and legendary neutrality. A country famous for staying out of global conflicts now finds itself at the very center of one. But this isn't about fondue. It's a full-blown trade war triggered by a single tweet and now threatening to upend the global economy. The world is watching as tensions rise and alliances are tested. Headlines scream, Trump slams Swiss gold, ignites $48 billion trade war. The media frenzy is relentless, with every development sending shockwaves through financial markets. And gold prices skyrocket as US faces supply shock. Investors are scrambling, and the price of gold is soaring to record highs, creating panic and opportunity in equal measure. The Trump administration, facing a ballooning deficit and mounting political pressure at home, has picked a fight with the world's gold refinery, Switzerland. The stakes couldn't be higher. It's like declaring war on oxygen. You might have your reasons, but you won't like the outcome. Gold is the lifeblood of global finance, and cutting off the supply is a move that could backfire spectacularly. What started as a minor dispute has exploded, rattling Wall Street, shaking the dollar, and leaving investors around the world on edge. The ripple effects are being felt everywhere, from Main Street to global trading floors. How did a small, neutral country end up holding the world's largest economy hostage with gold? The answer lies in decades of quiet accumulation, shrewd policy, and a reputation for trust that now gives Switzerland unprecedented leverage. Buckle up. This is the story of the 2025 US-Swiss gold crisis, a tale of power, economics, and the absurdity of modern politics. It's a drama where every move counts, and the world is watching to see who will blink first. And it all started with a very, very big number. A number that could change the fate of nations and the future of global finance. Early 2025, the US faces a $48 billion deficit. Instead of sensible reforms, the Trump administration grabs its favorite tool: tariffs. They need a wealthy target with strong US trade ties. Enter Switzerland. The official reason? Accusations of currency manipulation, making Swiss exports, especially gold, unfairly cheap. Most economists say it's more complicated, but nuance doesn't make headlines. The US slaps a 39% tariff on all Swiss refined gold bars. Switzerland's real crime? Being the world's gold refinery. The US imports billions in Swiss gold every year. Taxing it seems like a quick fix. The administration bets Switzerland will cave. But they've underestimated both the power of gold and the Swiss. The tariff is less about fair trade, more about political theater, and the stage is set for chaos. Why is Swiss gold so crucial? Because Switzerland isn't just a player, it's the gold market. While others mine gold, Switzerland refines it, turning raw ore into the world's most trusted bars. 70% of global gold passes through Swiss refineries like Valcombe and Pamp. Their stamp means purity, quality, and trust, essentials for banks, tech giants, and even the US Mint. No other country matches their capacity or reputation. Trying to replace Swiss gold is like swapping Coca-Cola for bathtub soda. Nobody's buying it. By targeting Swiss gold, the US wasn't just taxing a product, it was threatening the engine of the global gold trade. The administration thought it was punching a small country, but it was actually shaking the entire global gold standard. And the consequences were about to hit home. The 39% tariff announcement sent gold prices into orbit, soaring past $2,500 an ounce, shattering previous records and setting a new historic high. The financial world was stunned as the price of gold skyrocketed almost overnight, leaving traders scrambling to keep up. Suddenly, Swiss gold became a rare luxury, and this scarcity dragged all global gold prices up with it. Gold bars stamped with Swiss markings were now seen as even more valuable, and luxury jewelry stores had to rethink their pricing strategies as costs surged. Investors cheered as their portfolios ballooned, but industries that rely on gold, like tech manufacturers and jewelers, panicked as their raw material costs soared. For many, the price hikes threatened to squeeze profit margins and disrupt production schedules. Tech giants like Apple and Samsung suddenly faced much higher production costs, since gold is essential for electronics. These increases would inevitably be passed on to consumers, making gadgets and devices more expensive for everyone. The US dollar, instead of strengthening as intended, actually weakened. Investors lost confidence in the currency and rushed to exchange their dollars for gold, further driving up gold prices and putting more pressure on the dollar. The tariff, meant to help American industry, instead triggered a vicious cycle. Higher gold prices, a weaker dollar, and rising inflation. Everyday goods became more expensive, and families felt the pinch at the checkout counter. Imports got pricier as the dollar's value dropped, making foreign goods more expensive. Yet despite these higher prices, the trade deficit didn't budge, frustrating policymakers and businesses alike. The administration had hoped to look tough on trade, but instead, it torpedoed its own currency and made gold even more desirable as a safe haven. Officials scrambled to contain the fallout, but the damage was done. The result? A spectacular economic own goal. What was meant to be a show of strength ended up backfiring, leaving markets reeling and confidence shaken. Wall Street's initial gold rush quickly turned to anxiety as volatility spiked. Traders who had celebrated the surge now worried about the unpredictable swings and the broader impact on the economy. The stock market tumbled, with investors fearing a wider trade war and deeper economic troubles ahead. Uncertainty spread through the financial sector. The US had tried to control gold, and in the process, lost control of its own economy. The Federal Reserve and government officials were left scrambling for solutions. The fallout was just beginning, and no one knew how far the shockwaves would spread. The pain quickly spread from Wall Street to Main Street. Financial institutions scrambled as risk models broke down and costs soared. The US Mint, reliant on Swiss gold, faced shortages and production halts, creating a scarcity of American Eagle coins. Small businesses, especially jewelers, were hit hardest, forced to raise prices or close shop. Family-owned jewelry stores, some open for generations, struggled to survive. The tariff, meant to punish Switzerland, was punishing American businesses and consumers. Politically, the backlash grew. Lawmakers from both parties criticized the administration's reckless gamble. Inflation rose, the deficit remained, and public anger mounted. The golden goose had been taxed, and it stopped laying eggs. The administration's America First move was backfiring spectacularly. The question, how much more pain could the US take, and would Switzerland blink first? Switzerland didn't retaliate with tariffs, they played smarter. Instead of escalating the conflict with direct economic warfare, they chose a more sophisticated approach, leveraging their reputation for diplomacy and strategic thinking. First, they rallied global support, framing the US move as a threat to financial stability. Swiss diplomats worked tirelessly behind the scenes, reaching out to key partners and making the case that the US actions could destabilize the entire global financial system. China, India, and Middle Eastern nations joined Switzerland in condemning the US. This coalition of economic heavyweights amplified Switzerland's voice, making it clear that the issue was bigger than just a bilateral dispute. The US found itself isolated, pressured by allies and competitors alike. Even traditional partners hesitated to back Washington, wary of the global fallout. Second, Switzerland subtly hinted at trouble for US interests in banking, pharma, and machinery. No formal threats, just enough to spook American corporations. Swiss officials let it be known that cooperation in these sectors could become more complicated if tensions continued. Boardrooms in New York and Silicon Valley began lobbying the White House to end the dispute. CEOs and industry leaders warned that losing access to Swiss expertise and markets could have long-term consequences for American competitiveness. Most effectively, Swiss refineries prioritized other buyers, redirecting gold to Asia and Europe. This move sent shockwaves through the global gold market, signaling that Switzerland could shift its economic alliances at will. The US faced even greater shortages, while Switzerland deepened global trade ties. American officials watched as Swiss gold and expertise flowed to eager partners abroad. The message was unmistakable. Switzerland had options, and the US was not their only customer. The Swiss made it clear that their economy could thrive with or without American cooperation. The Swiss played economic chess and put the US king in check. Every move was calculated, forcing Washington to reconsider its strategy. The longer the standoff, the more the US lost. Time was on Switzerland's side, as American industries and markets began to feel the pressure. Switzerland's calm, strategic response proved devastatingly effective. Their measured actions showcased the power of quiet confidence and global alliances. The world was watching and taking notes. Switzerland's masterclass in economic diplomacy became a case study for nations everywhere, proving that sometimes brains really do beat brawn. By late September 2025, the standoff is unsustainable. The US economy is straining, inflation is up, the dollar is down, and industries are desperate for relief. The tariff failed to raise revenue, Swiss gold imports have collapsed. America's global reputation is taking a hit, with allies questioning its reliability. If the dispute drags on, countries may accelerate efforts to move away from the dollar, a long-term threat to US power. But Switzerland isn't invulnerable. The US is its second-largest trading partner. If the US escalates to other Swiss exports, pharma, watches, the pain for Switzerland could be severe. Both sides risk losing more than they gain. The Swiss must defend their industry without provoking a wider war. The US must weigh pride against economic reality. Both are staring over the edge, knowing a push could drag them both down. Who blinks first? The world waits. The stakes couldn't be higher. Three paths remain. First, compromise secret talks, a face-saving deal, and the tariff quietly dropped. Both sides claim victory, markets calm. Second, deadlock tariffs stay, the gold market fractures, and both economies suffer long-term pain. The US scrambles to build new gold refining capacity, costly, slow, and uncertain. Switzerland pivots further to Asia but loses a key market. Third, escalation. The US expands tariffs to Swiss pharma, watches, and banking. Switzerland retaliates, possibly freezing US assets or complicating business for American firms. The EU could get drawn in, risking a global recession. Right now, compromise and deadlock seem most likely. Economic pain is mounting, but political costs make backing down hard. The next weeks are critical. Will pride win out or will sanity prevail? The world is watching for a golden bridge or a financial abyss. So here we are, two advanced economies locked in a gold-fueled feud. What began as a deficit fix has spiraled into a global threat. The US tried to look tough but inflicted massive damage on itself and its allies. Switzerland, with calm strategy, showed how a small nation can wield outsized power. This crisis is a masterclass in how not to do foreign policy. The US underestimated its opponent and the complexity of global trade. The real cost: eroded trust between nations, in institutions, and in the global system. Rebuilding that trust will be harder than refining gold. So, is winning a trade war at all costs really a victory, or just a very expensive tantrum? Good night, and good luck.